Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching YouTube channel. Welcome to those of you who are new. Welcome back to those of you seasoned veterans of what we do around here. What we do around here is bring about conversations of a psychological, mental health, emotional health paradigm. We do that as often as we can, usually several times per week, with over 1,500 of these available. We try to add whenever I can. My schedule is not exactly where I would like it to be, but hey, summer is a rough time for lots of folks, and we try to add whenever we can. So this is about toxic family. If you're dealing with toxic family issues, would love to be of assistance to you in any way that I can. Please feel free to reach out at PO Perception on Twitter and or in the About Me section of this YouTube page. Either one will get you in touch with me or a member of my team. We can make something happen from there. What are some signs that toxic families are things that you got to take a look at? The first is gossip. A toxic family member is going to gossip. They are individuals who are consumed with the idea that their viewpoint, their ideas, their concepts are more important than other people's, and thus the level of importance they place upon themselves is directly related to how they relate to other people in the world around them. And thus, it becomes problematic for a number of reasons. The next thing is they tend to downplay people's opinions on a consistent level. Downplaying of opinions happens because when you downplay someone's opinion, they lose level of confidence. Level of confidence allows them to be easier to manipulate, and ultimately, um, they become super critical of the person they are ignoring or manipulating. The criticism eventually wears on the mindset of the person who is trying to get their point across. And eventually, one of two things will happen. Either that person will become silent, or that person will conform to the individual who is trying to manipulate them. Understanding that using silent treatment and ignoring is another method of manipulation in general, and ultimately, when a person feels they have been ignored long enough, they often will change their behavior in such a manner that allows the other person who's trying to be controlling or manipulative in some way to gain a certain level of leverage and power over another person. Look, every person at some level is trying to gain something. Every social interaction is with the thought of trying to gain, and also the holding of mistakes when a person is manipulative against the other individual is also a key focal point in all of that. And knowing how to identify the ways at which we can be more open and honest about our intentions is important. Look, if a person is motivated by fear, if a person is dealing with, feelings of fear, or they're struggling, being honest and saying, you know what, I'm afraid of this or that is much better than trying to manipulate the other person into submission in order to gain compliance. When a person doesn't feel like they are getting a decent level of compliance and or benefit from a connection, chances are they're going to be more likely to ultimately, um, you know, connect on that level in any basic manner. And so it's important to identify how to change behavioral patterns, how to modify ways that behavior needs to shift and change, and ultimately then begin to connect for the future. When consistent connection is a centralized point, there is an important nature to trying to identify the ways at which we can behave differently so that achieving meaningful, lasting relationships can become a central force in the connective to getting life under a certain level of control. And knowing how to control another person's impression of us can be helpful, but we also have to be willing to protect ourselves from unforeseen circumstances and or the negativities associated with the potentials of misunderstanding and or struggles in a meaningful, masterful way. And so knowing how to do that is an important factor in making lasting decisions for people who are committed to knowing their relationships are based on how they relate with other people. relationships are important, and the desire to have healthy and meaningful and lasting relationships come from a desire to have mutual benefit rather than expectation at the center of a relational connection. So hopefully this is helpful. I encourage you, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Till next time, everybody.